But you, Hulk Hogan, what you do is that you thrive on it. You know what I mean? So I believe in karma, and karma comes back on you, and payback is hell. And that's if Hulk Hogan accepts the challenge. A little background information is that he disrespected my dad on the phone.
Macho Man. Randy Savage was one of the most colorful, charismatic, and unpredictable superstars in wrestling history. But behind the iconic sunglasses and the madness was a man of intense passion and just as intense rivalries. The Macho Man had a reputation for being hot-headed and fiercely protective, and there were several people in the business who truly rubbed him the wrong way. Before his tragic death in 2011, the Macho Man revealed the names of the 6 people he hated the most in the wrestling industry. At number 6, we had Bill Dundee. Back in the early 1980s, Randy Savage was not yet the superstar everyone remembered. He was working with his father, Angelo Poffo, in a promotion called International Championship Wrestling. This outlaw company competed directly against Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett's Memphis Wrestling territory, also known as the Continental Wrestling Association. International Championship Wrestling struggled to keep up, so they used wild tactics to get attention. The Poffo family would buy tickets to Memphis wrestling events and show up to challenge the wrestlers. Savage got on camera and relentlessly trash-talked the Continental Wrestling Association's biggest stars, including Jerry Lawler and a tough wrestler named Bill Dundee. In one promo, Savage even said, "I went to Jerry Lawler's house in Memphis and threw a rock through the window, and he was too scared to come out." This constant verbal assault created real tension between the two companies. Savage was known for living his character all the time. Bill Dundee was a top star for the Memphis promotion, and he got tired because of Savage's constant taunts. The situation finally boiled over because of 2 simple words: Macho Man. According to Jim Cornette, someone told Randy that Dundee used to wear tights with Macho Man written on them years earlier. For Savage, this wasn't just a small issue. Macho Man was his creation, his identity, and his business. He saw Dundee's past use of the name as a personal and professional insult. In the fall of 1982, the two crossed paths at the American Fitness Center in Hendersonville, Tennessee. What happened next became wrestling folklore. Savage started cutting a promo on Dundee right there in the gym parking lot. Dundee realized he was outnumbered by International Championship Wrestling wrestlers who were with Savage. Then everything exploded. Dundee went to the trunk of his car. Everyone thought he was just putting his bag away, but instead, he pulled out a gun. Randy Savage did not back down, even when he saw the weapon. He blocked Dundee, grabbed the gun away from him, and hit Dundee on the side of the head with it, breaking his jaw. The attack left Dundee injured and unable to work for over a month. Bill Dundee told a different version of the story. He claimed Randy sucker punched him in the eye without warning. They wrestled on, the ground before it was stopped. Dundee admitted he went to his car trunk and pulled out a .38 caliber gun, saying he pointed it at Randy's father, Angelo, and threatened to shoot if Randy didn't back off. Both men ended up going to court over the incident, but the charges were dropped and the case was thrown out. When Dundee returned to Memphis television, he never mentioned Randy Savage by name. Instead, he said he had been confronted by 4 gorillas that were 9 feet tall. The story of that brawl spread throughout the wrestling world. Ironically, the real-life violence ended up helping Savage's career. When International Championship Wrestling eventually closed down, he joined the Continental Wrestling Association, the very company he had once been at war with. Next at number 5, we have the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Their WWF rivalry peaked with a classic WrestleMania 8 championship match in 1992. Ric Flair, the cocky and arrogant champion, decided to make the feud deeply personal. He started a rumor that he had been in a relationship with Miss Elizabeth before she ever met Savage. Flair made things worse by flaunting fake photos as proof, taunting Savage relentlessly. It was a deliberate move designed to mess with Savage's mind, exploiting his well-known protective instincts for Elizabeth. The psychological warfare worked. Savage's promos became filled with genuine-sounding rage. He accused Flair of trying to create chaos just to win. He said, "You're just trying to see if you can confuse a situation, and somehow somebody slips on a banana peel and you end up on top." He even insulted Flair's intelligence, saying, "I'm smarter than the dumbest person in the world, and you are that dummy, yeah." Savage promised that their match would be more than wrestling. It would be a fight that could spill out of the ring and into the crowd. The feud hit its boiling point when Flair and his manager, Mr. Perfect, taunted Savage live on TV. Flair said, "She was mine before she was yours," and waved those fake photos around. Savage went wild, shouting, "Untrue, untrue," in interviews and swearing revenge. Before their WrestleMania 8 match, he promised, "I'm coming for you, Flair. No one talks about my wife like that and gets away with it." The match itself was wild. Flair and Mr. Perfect kept cheating, going after Savage's injured knee, but the Macho Man refused to quit. Miss Elizabeth even ran to ringside, ignoring officials trying to stop her. In the end, Savage rolled up Flair for the pin and won the WWF Championship. Flair, refusing to give in even in defeat, tried to kiss Elizabeth in front of Savage, making things even more intense. Off camera, there was real professional heat between them. Randy Savage and Ric Flair had completely different philosophies about wrestling. Savage was a perfectionist who wanted every move, every sequence, planned and rehearsed. Flair, on the other hand, was a master of improvisation, known for calling matches on the fly and feeling the energy of the crowd. The feud continued when both men joined WCW years later. Even there, the tension remained. Flair once took a jab at Savage for planning his iconic WrestleMania 3 match with Ricky Steamboat. Every time they stepped in the ring, you could feel the fire. Savage, in classic macho style, said, "Ric Flair, you can talk all day, but you can't beat the Macho Man, yeah." Flair shot back, "You'll never be the man, Savage, no matter how hard you try." Fans still remember this feud because it blurred the line between performance and reality. Coming in at number 4, we have the legendary Jake the Snake. The feud between Randy Savage and Jake Roberts produced one of the most shocking and genuinely dangerous moments in wrestling history. Randy Savage and Jake Roberts' rivalry began when Roberts and The Undertaker disrupted Savage and Miss Elizabeth's wedding reception at SummerSlam 1991. What had seemed like a happy ending suddenly turned into a nightmare when they left a snake as a gift. Savage and Roberts then began cutting very intense promos against each other. Jake delivered a chilling warning, saying, "You never turn your back on a snake, Macho Man." Savage quickly fired back with his trademark intensity. "Jake Roberts, you want to play with fire? You're gonna get burned, yeah." Behind the scenes, things were just as tense. Vince McMahon came to Jake with the idea of having the Cobra bite someone. When Randy found out about the plan, he became paranoid. Jake assured Randy that the snake had been devenomized, but Randy didn't trust anyone enough to take their word for it. He made Jake prove it by letting the snake bite him first. They went to the locker room, and Jake pulled up his pant leg. The Cobra bit Jake's leg and held on while it chewed. Even after Jake removed the snake, Randy still wasn't satisfied. He made Jake sit in a chair facing him for 30 minutes, watching to see if Jake started sweating or feeling sick. Only then did Randy agree to go through with the angle. When the time came to film the segment, things didn't go as planned. Jake tied Randy in the ropes and brought out the King Cobra. To make the snake angry enough to bite, Jake actually slapped it in the face. The Cobra grabbed Randy's arm and held on tight. Jake tried to pull it off, but it kept chewing. The bite went on much longer than anyone expected. Blood started flowing from the puncture wounds, and the whole thing looked so graphic that the TV broadcast had to blur it out. Randy's arm swelled up like a balloon for days after the bite. About 5 days later, he had to rush to the hospital with a fever of 104 degrees. Luckily, the Cobra really had been devenomized, but Randy still needed antibiotics to fight the infection. The snake died 12 days later. Randy even joked that maybe the snake got venom from him instead. Jake told Randy that he had killed the snake. After that infamous segment, the feud between them continued with even more hatred. When Savage was finally allowed to wrestle again, they faced each other at This Tuesday in Texas. The match was brutal. Savage got the win, but as he celebrated, Roberts attacked him. Jake then turned toward Elizabeth and slapped her to the ground, something unheard of in wrestling at the time. Savage was furious, yelling, "No one puts their hands on Elizabeth, not while I'm around." Fans and even other wrestlers felt this had gone too far. The angle had to be cut short because Miss Elizabeth's parents were upset with Randy for not protecting her when Jake slapped her during the segment. Randy and Jake never became close friends. Jake later admitted, "Savage made me let the snake bite me first, so he knew it wasn't poisonous. He was so worried, he made me do it." He called Savage crazy, but brilliant, saying, "He was a psycho, but you had to admire him. He never backed down." The intensity of what they did together was hard to forget. Randy had literally put his health on the line to make their feud believable. Even today, when people remember the scariest and most intense rivalries ever, Savage and Jake the Snake remain near the top. At number 3, we have Road Warrior Hawk. Randy Savage and Road Warrior Hawk had a real and strong dislike for each other that went beyond the wrestling ring. They had two very bad fights over the years. This was not a fake story for wrestling. Their conflict was real. It all started with a misunderstanding. Hawk believed that Savage had made a pass at his wife. According to Randy's brother, Lanny Poffo, that accusation was completely false. He said Randy was a gentleman who would never make advances toward a married woman, adding that the woman in question was well below his standards. The misunderstanding led to their first fight in 1996 during a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. Just as Savage was heading to the ring, Hawk ambushed him with a sucker punch. Hawk later claimed he beat the hell out of Savage, but witnesses told a different story. Sonny O'New, who saw it happen, said Savage's entrance music was already playing when Hawk attacked. Despite being blindsided, Randy went out, wrestled his match, and came back ready to fight again, but others held him back. Savage was not the kind to forget a grudge. Years later, they crossed paths again at a Kid Rock concert in Tampa, Florida. Their hatred for each other came back right away, and a big fight started in a VIP bathroom. Hawk claimed he approached Randy to shake hands, but Savage pushed him and threw the first punch. According to Savage's girlfriend, Gorgeous George, Randy just wanted to use the bathroom and didn't even know Hawk was inside. She said it was like watching two monsters fighting. They were ripping the urinals off the walls, and the security guards were afraid to stop them. George admitted she threw cans at Hawk's head, while Hawk's wife attacked her and her sister before police finally broke it up. Savage's hatred became permanent because of what happened next. Hawk's wife filed a lawsuit against Savage, claiming she was injured in the fight. The legal battle dragged on for years and wasn't dropped until Hawk's death in 2003. To Savage, that lawsuit was unforgivable. He said in one interview, "Anytime two guys mix it up and it ends up in court, one wrestler suing another wrestler, that's ridiculous." For Randy, Hawk had broken wrestling's unwritten code. The two never reconciled, and their hatred lasted until the day Hawk died. At number 2, we have The Ultimate Warrior. The story between Randy Savage and The Ultimate Warrior was very exciting for the fans. It is still remembered as one of the most emotional conflicts from wrestling's golden age. They had problems with each other at work and in their personal lives. The Ultimate Warrior was known for his incredible intensity in the ring, but he wasn't always careful with his opponents. This became a major issue when Warrior accidentally injured Randy Savage. During one of their matches, Warrior broke Savage's arm and hand, keeping him out of action for weeks. Randy didn't take it lightly. To him, it wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate act that cost him money and pride. Savage always treated wrestling as serious business, and losing revenue made him furious. His payback came at the 1991 Royal Rumble. Warrior was defending his championship against Sergeant Slaughter when Savage got involved in the match and hit Warrior hard on the head with his King's staff. According to Slaughter, that was Randy's way of sending a message: actions have consequences. Savage later said, "Nobody does it better than the Macho Man, oh yeah." Their feud only grew hotter from there. On TV, Savage taunted Warrior weekly, even having Sensational Sherry beg for a title shot on his behalf. Warrior refused, which only made Savage angrier. The tension built until WrestleMania 7, where they faced off in a career versus career match. The loser would have to retire. Before the bout, Savage declared, "I'm the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour." Warrior vowed to end Macho Man's career. The match became an instant classic. After 3 devastating shoulder blocks and a huge splash, Warrior pinned Savage, forcing him to retire. Savage later said, "I gave it everything I had. Yeah, but that's the breaks." What followed became one of wrestling's most emotional moments. Miss Elizabeth ran from the audience into the ring to get back together with Savage, which made the fans cheer and cry. Even though Savage was on the losing side, everyone felt sad for him. But the tension between Savage and Warrior didn't end there. They later teamed up as the Ultimate Maniacs, but their trust was never real. Savage, a perfectionist, clashed with Warrior's chaotic style. Behind the scenes, their egos and philosophies constantly collided. Though they worked together briefly, neither man ever forgot their past. The respect between them never fully returned. Coming in at number 1 is Hulk Hogan. Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan went from best friends to bitter enemies more than once, and their relationship was as wild as it gets. What began in 1987 as the Mega Powers friendship turned into one of wrestling's greatest betrayals. Back in 1987, Hogan saved Savage from a 3-on-1 attack by the Honky Tonk Man and the Hart Foundation, and that's how they teamed up. With Miss Elizabeth by their side, they were united as one unstoppable force. But then, small problems started to grow. The company treated Hogan like the bigger star, even though Randy held the main title. Savage also grew jealous of how Hogan treated Miss Elizabeth. Hogan always wanted her ringside, saying she gave him extra inspiration. But Randy's protective nature made him paranoid about Hogan's intentions. Things reached a breaking point during a match against the Twin Towers. During the fight, Randy was thrown onto Elizabeth by accident. Hogan left the ring to carry Elizabeth backstage for medical attention, leaving Savage alone to fight both opponents. After the match, the cameras showed Hogan taking care of Elizabeth backstage. Randy came in, full of anger and jealousy. He accused Hogan of having romantic feelings for Elizabeth. Savage yelled that Hogan had lust in his eyes and in his black heart. The argument got super heated until Savage suddenly smashed Hogan over the head with the championship belt, screaming that he hated him. Just like that, the Mega Powers were finished. Randy cut an incredible promo explaining why he turned on Hogan. He said that Hogan broke his promises about making sure Elizabeth would never be in danger. Savage called Hogan a hot dog, a grandstander, a showboat, a prima donna, and a liar. He said Elizabeth would be in his corner at WrestleMania 5, not Hogan's. Their feud led to one of the most famous matches in wrestling history, the main event of WrestleMania 5. The promos before the match were absolutely unforgettable. Hogan promised to take Savage down and reclaim the title. At WrestleMania, the two had a very emotional and exciting match. In the end, Hogan beat Savage and won back the championship title. After that match, their problems only got bigger because of real-life stuff. Like that time in Paris, there were no ring steps, so Hogan picked up Elizabeth to put her in the ring. Randy became extremely angry because he thought Hogan had touched her inappropriately. He put his arm around Hogan's head so tightly that Hogan had to threaten to drop Randy on his head to make him let go. Another incident happened in Miami while Hogan was filming a movie. Hogan and his wife Linda invited Randy and Elizabeth to visit. Randy stayed home, but Elizabeth went. Randy called again and again, but no one picked up the phone. He began to think something was wrong, so he took a plane to Miami. He suddenly entered Linda's room and started shouting, asking where Elizabeth was. After returning home, Elizabeth filed for divorce. In a 1993 interview, Randy openly blamed Hogan and Linda for turning Elizabeth against him. Years later, they worked together again in WCW as part of the New World Order, but the friendship never fully recovered. Savage's anger never went away. He even released a rap song called Be a Man, directly attacking Hogan. For years, the two didn't speak. Fans believed Savage really hated Hogan for being too close to Elizabeth and for always hogging the spotlight. So that's the list of 6 people Randy Savage hated the most. Each rivalry showed just how intense, passionate, and unpredictable the Macho Man really was, both inside and outside the ring. If you enjoyed this wrestling history, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more classic wrestling stories.